All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, after the New York Mets dropped their first two games out of the All Star break, there were some that were ready to push the panic button. Why, I don't know. But since then, the Mets have responded by winning their last six games, and included in that six-game win streak for the Metropolitans is a two-game home sweep of the New York Yankees, as well as taking all three games of this weekend series on the road against the Miami Marlins. Now, yes, the Marlins currently have a losing record, and yes, the Marlins are currently in fourth place in the National League East. But on Friday night, the Mets bats were able to get to Marlins starting pitcher Sandy Alcantara, who has been one of the better pitchers in MLB this season with his sub 2 ERA. The Mets roughed him up for 4 runs and they chased him after 5 innings. And then after that, the Mets were able to get to the Marlins bullpen and get the victory. Carlos Carrasco last night for the Mets took the bump and he pitched deep into the game with a 7 and 2/3 inning performance as New York won game two of this series. And then the Mets finished it up today with the 9-3 victory. Now, overall, New York has scored 36 runs during this six-game winning streak. And in doing so, they've been able to get contributions from up and down their lineup. So it just isn't one or two guys, most notably Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor. The Mets also received some good news as starting pitcher Jacob DeGrom is set to make his season debut this Tuesday in DC against the Washington Nationals. And getting DeGrom at this point works like a trade because we've seen what the Mets have done all season long, especially with their pitching staff. Now you get a guy like DeGrom back, and if he's healthy, and if he's on top of his game, the Mets have a strong duo at the top of their rotation, of course, and Max Scherzer and DeGrom. And this is what the Mets brass was hoping for when they signed Scherzer last offseason. Also, the trade deadline is this coming Tuesday. And we've already seen the Mets be active, but will they go out there and make some more moves? Will they be able to add another bat? And will they be able to get another arm for their bullpen? That, of course, is the $1 million question. Now, manager Buck Showalter continues to push all of the right buttons for this team, but most notably, Buck has always known, regardless of where he's been as a manager in his MLB career, as far as getting the most out of his players and then some. And we're seeing that this year. The locker room has really responded very well to Showalter. Obviously, he's going to be a future Hall of Famer as a manager, but nonetheless, the Mets are a fundamentally sound team. They don't beat themselves, and this is why they're in the position that they're currently in. And they do have a puncher's chance to go out there and win 100 games this season. Billy Epler, the Mets GM, and of course, Sandy Alderson, the president of baseball operations, is going to be interesting to see if they're able to go out there and make those necessary moves to really enhance this team's chances to do damage in the postseason. Because obviously, with what the Mets have, they are going to the playoffs, whether it be as a wild card or the division champs in the NL East. But nonetheless, what can you do when you get there in October? We'll have to wait and see. But getting back to this six-game streak, most notably the sweep of the Marlins this weekend, it's going to be important for the Mets to take care of their business against the teams that they're supposed to beat. Why? Because their August schedule is going to be very tough. Now, they begin the month with three games on the road in DC against the Nationals. And of course, the Nationals, they've packed it in. They're really focusing on their rebuild. And of course, who knows what's going to happen with the Juan Soto thing? Is he going to get traded now or is it going to be the winter meetings? We'll have to wait and see. But nonetheless, after that three-game set, the Mets, they have 5 games this weekend at home versus the Atlanta Braves. And that is going to be a big time series in the division. Then after that, the Mets host the Cincinnati Reds for 3. And I know the Reds, they're obviously not going to be a playoff team, but the Reds are playing some tough baseball. You cannot overlook them. 3 with the Phillies, and then they come back for 4 more on the road with the Braves, and then 4 on the road against the Phillies after that, and then 2 in the Bronx against the Yankees. And if that's not enough right there, to end the month, the Mets finished with 3 games at home versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I'm not going to go out there and say this is a make or break moment for the Mets because the Mets this season have answered every challenge that has been put in front of them. And whenever you want to count this team out, they find a way to rise up and take care of their business. So, with that said, this is going to be another test for this team. The Mets so far have responded. So, with that said, it's really tough to say that this team is going to go in any other direction. But nonetheless, the Mets look like a team. They're clicked like and that is ready to do some damage coming down the stretch. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. Um, the Grom return will be big for this team, and also if the Mets can go out there and make a big move at the trade deadline, I think it is going to be a huge shot in the arm for this team going forward. So the Mets have the look and the feel of a playoff team. Let's see how the next 2 months work out in Flushing for the blue and orange. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take the time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports discussion sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.